All right. Well, first of all, I'd like to welcome Grandmaster Art Gonzalez of the DeCuerdas system to the SMA Chronicles. How do you do, Grandmaster Art?
I'm fantastic. I want to thank you for the opportunity and say hello to everybody.
Thank you. And I'd like to get started by hearing, first of all, from a direct historical perspective as to how you yourself were involved initially in the martial arts. What drew you into the martial arts?
That started me when I was young. I started with my grandfather. My grandfather started showing me the Mexican knife fighting system, and because I was a youth, and every time you went to a dance and stuff, people was always getting killed by a knife, being shot, or being ganged up by, or some kind of iron weapon. And because of this, I geared myself for this, and as time has it, I met Gilbert Tenio, and he specifically geared himself for this.
And so your initial instruction was actually by your grandfather then, correct?
Yes, actually, it was my grandfather that taught me, and there was another instructor called Raimundo Quisada. You know, he was Orthodox and mixed a bunch of systems together, and he was a great influence. He was a truant officer. He was a bus driver of the high school that I went to, and I had to be a good boy all the way through because he knew my parents.
That always ensures good behavior when they know your parents, doesn't it?
I can tell you stories, sir. I actually he found me, took me back, and in order for him then to tell my parents, I had to show up for class every Saturday.
How long did you study with him and your grandfather?
Wow, I was little. He started teaching me about when I was 14 years, the knife fighting, and there was one little thing where once I knew the techniques and stuff, and the way he was focusing was unique, you see, because he would use these type of fat hornets, and he would put them in a jar, and he goes, "Are you ready? I have a knife." He goes, "Yeah," and then he would toss it to me. I would have to try to kill that little bumblebee,
wow,
hornet, because if I struck and I missed, now he's within my range, and he would just go into my arm, into my body, and keep repeatedly stinging me. As time went by, I was able to knock him down, and my grandfather goes, "Oh, you're getting good. Yeah, here, let's try this." Now he got two little bumblebees, and he tossed them to me. And once again, I'll be on the floor, and they'd be attacking me. My vision started being acclimated to this. So when my grandfather said, "Okay, you ready?" He goes, "Yeah, I'm ready." So then instead of tossing them toward me, he tossed them straight up in the air. Now they went up in the air, and they disappeared, and all of a sudden one attacked me on my left, and one attacked me on my right. And it was a trip. And that's the ways of teaching that. So it's interesting.
Wow, that is really interesting. I haven't heard of that before. After your time with your grandfather and and his friend that was instructing you, what form of instruction or what type of martial arts did you get involved with then?
That was with Raimundo Quisada, and it's still my love. He taught me boxing. He taught me some gun fu stuff and general grappling. And he's the one that actually started talking about Angel Cabales. This brings up the story that it is weird. My father was a farm labor contractor. So he hired Angel Cabales as a crew foreman for packing Tokay grapes.
Wow.
By Harney Lane in Lodi. And then he also hired Gilbert Tenio packing Zinfandel grapes. And then you had to nail them, so there was nailers and people in agriculture and around California, they would know what I'm talking about.
Sure.
Then he did asparagus, tomato, and stuff like that. But he did not know they were grandmasters of the art. Except one day when my father sent me to a certain field, I was in my pickup truck, I was in my cowboy hat. Before I got there, I stopped by the store. First thing you do is what? go to the magazine racks, and guess who was there? Angel Cavalles in the front of the magazine. So I picked it up. So here I am. I'm looking at it. Then I drove to the field, and I have to go check this Filipino crew because the Filipino crew, see, the immigration wouldn't take them.
I see.
But the Mexican crews, they would. The immigration come and take them. It was a game, we used to play.
Right.
But then all of a sudden, I saw his cover, and I had the thing, and all of a sudden, as I'm walking, I'm going to see the new foreman, and all of a sudden, there's Angel. So I looked at him, and I said hello, and then he started talking to me. He was very nervous, and then because I'm the kid's boss, you know what I'm saying?
Sure.
So I said, wait right here. Then I turned around, went to the pickup, grabbed the magazine, brung it back, and I'm looking at him, looking at the magazine, and I said, Angel? He goes, yeah. I looked at him, and, I should have had him sign it, but I was just like freaking out,
Absolutely.
And oh my God. Then he says, oh, you just come to the, to the class, and I'll show you, And, wow, And then after that, they were having trouble with nailers, so my father sent me over there to another crew,
right,
for a pack in Sinbandale. Now they would send that to Japan, so it had to be when they nailed them, it had to be straight in. The nails couldn't be out or anything like that.
Sure, right.
So I went out there having problems. So I went out there, and then there was Tino. And then I was there for a while because I had to reestablish nailers, and then I'm talking to Tino. I didn't know who he was,
Of course.
And at that particular time, I was taking karate style, and by his name, a police officer named Zimmerman. It was some kind of Shotokan or some kind of stuff. I can't remember.
Okay.
Anyways, so I got bored, and I was out there just waiting for another guy to be nailers,
Right.
And so I started playing around and then doing karate moves. Yeah. So Tino saw me. He started getting closer, and then he goes, "Oh, so you like to play?" Yeah. And before I knew it, he engaged me, and I was on the floor. And that's how it happened, and that's how I fell in love. I went first to see to train for about a month with Angel.
Yes.
But then when Tino did that, I just went to Gilbert Tenio. This is how it started. And then that's when he took me to meet the family. That means Diestro Revelar and John Elliott.
Right.
Yeah.
And so from that point forward, you remained a student of Grandmaster Gilbert Tenio.
That's correct. So I can honestly say that my only instructors in Eskrima that I ever had, or main instructors, were Grandmaster Gilbert Tenio and John Elliott. Of course, I've always had great influence by Diestro Revelar, So he is the most senior student that's still alive from Tenio. He's the one that still quizzes me, and if you ever see me with a tail between my legs, Diestro Revelar has just entered the room.
So Diestro Revelar, he still teaches some DeCuerdas?
Oh yes, he even created his own system. Let me tell you, what it was is that both Diestro Revelar and John Elliott, they're relatives, and they studied with Angel Cavalles.
Okay.
And once they finished, they went to Gilbert Tenio. And because they said, you know what, let's save some time, I'm going to go to Leo Herun, Diestro Revelar, and you stay with Gilbert. We'll both study, and then we'll meet at our places, and then we'll cross train, and it's faster learning this way.
Right.
That eventually turned Diestro Revelar to create SLD, Cerrada Largo Mano DeCuerdas series. Right. So, and then John Elliott to stay with DeCuerdas, but also had influence. So it was great. I was always around Diestro, his girls used to beat me up, and it was just awesome. Those days were awesome. And in fact, I just seen him last week. I went over there, and he was still quizzing me.
So while you were studying with Gilbert Tenio, what level of instruction did you reach during your time with Gilbert, or was Diestro Revelar your primary instructor, or John Elab? at the time?
John Eliop was always the primary instructor, and back then, you see, DeCuerdas is a family art.
Right.
So you don't just give out the family art to anybody because they was always afraid of people that would steal stuff.
Of course.
John Eliop just came from Cerrada.
Right.
So in order to keep us training, he would give us Cerrada. So I was being trained in flat out Cerrada, not DeCuerdas.
I see.
So except the hands were DeCuerdas. But if you didn't know what was going on, prior to 1982, something particular happened. I was already with Tenio and John Eliop for a while. And then they called me up, and I went because I thought that I was going to have to fight somebody. Somebody came to town. There was supposed to be some sparring.
Right. And
so I said, oh, no. So then I went because I live in the country, I went to the country store, bought me 2 beers.
Right.
And I'm drinking them because, in case I got hurt, I won't feel it. And then, so when I got there, I got to the gym. That's where they were at.
Right.
And I'm looking around. I see Eliop, but I'm still scanning for my opponent. There was nobody there, so I was confused. And then they looked at me, and he goes, oh, Arthur, I want to tell you that today we accept you as my student. So then I laughed. Tenio, man, I've been with you for a long time. What do you mean? And then I looked at his expression, and it changed. And I said, oh, shit. And then they said, do you accept being my students and the responsibility? And I said, yes. Then they did a Mason ritual. They brought out they had a bag and stuff, and they put some stuff out on the floor, and they made this Mason ritual, and I have to go through it, which I can't really tell you about.
Sure.
And then my world changed after that. They would just dangle carrots in front of you, and you would never see it until they told you. It's like being real close to a mountain.
Right. You
can't really absorb it, but when you start stepping back, oh, how stupid. Oh, yes. So what happened was I was accepted in the inner clique of the Cuerdas.
I see.
And it was a great changing point. The Legionario de Trabajo, in Stockton, they had a de Cuerdas thing going on, and they had an inner clique also. There was a clique with Escrimadores. It's just legendary. Everybody knows about it.
Right.
Even in my school, we have students, and there's an inner clique.
Right.
Yeah. So, it's interesting.
So what exactly was the hierarchy of leadership, if you will, that Grandmaster Gilbert Tenio had initiated at that time? Not after, but that time in particular.
There was no ranking system. Everybody knew who was there because of their skill level. See, Stockton, when you train, you're not supposed to even talk. You're supposed to be moving.
Sure.
And after they would stop you, do the instruction, and you used to follow.
Right.
We didn't have actually a rank, but it was unknowns to us. They had a work wheel, and every time they turned the work wheel, they turned the things because we learned many things. Do you understand? It wasn't just the stick. It was different types of weapons and different stuff, which later on I can tell you about.
Right.
My whole world changed, and because of that.
And as you progressed forward, did you become more and more responsible for teaching and teaching others?
Yes, there was something special that happened that our elders were like John Eliop and Tenio, Dentroy, and there was another appearance. It was Professor James Morrow. Back then, he was like about a 6th-degree black belt in Goshen Jitsu.
Sure.
From the Bay Area, from Calhoun. And he would come down. He had a relative named Art Gonzalez. Art Gonzalez introduced us to us, and then he came in the fold and he started training with us.
I see.
In Eskrima. And then he started actually cross-training, showing us his healing arts and stuff like that.
Right.
And from there, in 1982, we were invited to this gentleman. In fact, he's passed away, but his name is Mark Hodel.
Okay.
He was a ninjutsu practitioner for Dr. Asumi.
I see.
And he opened up the school. He invited us to go teach over there.
Right.
So about 10 of us, original students, went over there, including Professor James Morrow.
Uh-huh.
And that's where he was teaching us healing arts and some of the jiu-jitsu stuff.
I see.
And but the greatest thing was, at that particular time, James Morrow, being in Jiu-Jitsu America and highly liked in Jiu-Jitsu America, he was like a pretty boy, you know.
Right.
He invited us to Jiu-Jitsu America to join, and because of that, then we had to create a curriculum.
I see.
Because you have to have a curriculum. So we established a curriculum for them, and we established the students that we had, and because Tino didn't have no ranking, Professor Wally J. Brung him up to a professor status.
I see.
So they gave him a professor status. Later on, they gave John Eliop a associate professor status.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
And Wally J. gave Tino a red belt.
I see.
So, and then my eyes opened up because I got to meet great gentlemen. So, see, James Morrow was a great part of our life and always stayed with us.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
To this day, you know, he teaches. Me and him just came from Portugal. We went to teach for about a week and a half, and it was wonderful.
So you still have a relationship then with Dentoy Revelar and James Morrow, as you said?
Yes, and then there's still other senior students, Howard Miller and other guys that are still, you know, Mark Patton and
right.
And by the way, please understand that when I was learning, I had my brother Saul, which he's expert in evasion, and he does things that I cannot do. And there was also my cousins that were training under me, you know. So this is part of our history.
I understand. And your personal relationship then with Grandmaster Gilbert Tenio, what was that like on a personal level? Did that extend out beyond the dojo, as it were?
Let me put it to you this way. He would come down and stay weeks at a time at my house. My children grew up with Tenio, and they actually called him Tio, uncle.
Uh-huh.
So he knew my grandmother, he knew my mother, he knew my father, and he would stay, and we had a special place for him. He would stay with us, and this is where we get our special type of training. So you could see when he started getting sick, I was always watching his health because he started having a series of heart attacks. So he was real bad in taking his medicine. So when I would talk to him, I would always look at his chest.
Right.
And if it started like moving rapidly, then I would ask him, "Hey, did you take your medicine?" And he goes, "Oh yeah." And he goes, "Nah, let me see." And then I switched up where the medicine has to be in like little boxes.
Right.
Like Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and I could see if he took them, you know. So then that hit me, you got to take it, you know. And Richard Tenio, his son, by the way, he has two. Yeah, Richard Tenio is one thing, and then he has another son. Man, he's like 6'2". He's a handsome fellow. But anyways, that's how we would take care of him, you know, at our ranch, you know.
Right.
They would always bring him coffee outside and tacos, and he was just happy.
Now, at that time, also did they also have between Johnny Lieb, Dentoy Revelar, and of course Gilbert Tenio? Were you able to see them with Angel Caballos? I mean, did you take part in training? No.
No. Angel was doing his own thing. Once in a while, when he would come to parties, but it wasn't for a long time. You know. The parties and barbecues were always either John's or Dentoy's, and he has a lovely wife that since I met her, she's always been wonderful. She's when you go over there, she caters to you, you know, brings you food, brings you drink, you know. She's like a grandmother, and she's still that way. Wonderful lady.
Outstanding. So tell me a little bit now about your relationship also with Richard Tenio. You've developed a relationship, obviously, with the family and with Richard in particular. Is that right?
Yes, Richard's a private person. Sort of like myself. I'm kind of that way. The reason I talk more is because I was put in this situation to talk in front of people.
Right.
See, another compliment goes to James Morrow, you know. He would gear me to talk in front of people because that's what his instructor did to him.
Right.
You know, Richard Tenio, you know, he's shy, you know, doesn't like to talk in front of people. He's quiet. And he's always been around, you know, and he's a fun guy, you know, likes his wine, likes to play piano, you know.
Right.
And Rudy, his uncle, plays piano, so they can sing and they can do a bunch of stuff.
So so you still have a relationship then with Richard Tenio, is that correct?
Oh, yes, yes.
Good. You know, there has been in recent months or in recent days, shall we say, there has been some confusion, of course, throughout the Filipino Martial Arts Society as a whole in regards to a timeline for DeCuerdas and for the dissemination of the information and of course instructorships and things of that nature. Do you have any reference to any of that, or anything that you can add to that?
Yes, I do, and I'm going to read you some stuff. But before I answer this, there's never been confusion in Stockton.
I see. So it's always been very clear in Stockton. It's just outside
very
of Stockton.
Very clear in back because, you see, because we belong to a family, and the family reunions, you know, there was always meetings and there was always declarations. For example, when Tenio called us together, we had a party, and he declared John Eliap as an inheritor after he passes away because he was having heart attacks.
Sure. What year was that?
I really can't remember. I can look it up. You know, and as he always did, John Eliap broke my heart. Passed away in 1992.
Oh no!
So after 1992, Tenio had another meeting, and like we always did, and there was a gathering, you know.
Right.
And then he said, okay, you know, Richard Tenio, John Eliap passed away. Now I want everybody to know that I want my son, Richard Tenio, to be the inheritor, and please help him out. So Diestro Revelar, James Morrow was there, and we all said, yeah, sure. You know, that was our boss's wishes. You know, so that was in 92.
I see.
So I can provide you a little story. Like I talk in stories because that's the way my instructors teach me.
Sure, go right ahead. Feel free.
Okay, so we talk about our beginning. In the beginning, Diestro Revelar and John Eliap finished training with Angel Cabales. Then they went to Gilbert Tenio. They decided to split time. Diestro Revelar went to Grandmaster Leo Giron. Then he created his school. John stayed with Gilbert Tenio and created his school. Revelar and Eliap would share the knowledge learned from Tenio and Giron between themselves. This was the first triangle: Gilbert Tenio, John Eliap, and Diestro Revelar. My father, in 1978, being a farm labor contractor, hired Angel Cabales as a crew foreman in packing Tokay grapes. He hired Gilbert Tenio as a foreman in packing Zinfandel grapes, asparagus, tomatoes, cherries, etc. First, I went to study under Angel. Then I went to study with Gilbert Tenio. Then I stayed. At that time, I entered the DeCuerdas group and practiced in farm labor camps, garages, backyards, gyms, Rough and Ready Island in Stockton, and in my home. At this time, Professor James Morrow from Calhoun and Diestro America used to come and stay for weeks at a time. with his relative, Art Gonzalez, to train under Tenio in DeCuerdas. Time passed, and in 1982, we were invited to teach at the Waterloo School by Mark Hodel, a ninjutsu practitioner. Richard Van Donk was a student of Mark Hodel. Art Gonzalez also moved with us to teach karate at the Waterloo School. He was also Gilbert Tenio's student. The students that came to this new school were about 10, James Morrow, Howard Miller, Jackson, my brother Raul, my son Art Jr., my cousin Paulo, myself, Art Gonzalez. Soon Tenio's DeCuerdas Grima established itself at the Waterloo School. Then we accepted new students, Mark Patton, Philo Garcia, and the ninjutsu guy Richard Van Donk from Hodel crossed over and joined our school to learn Skrima. Professor James Morrow would come train and teach his healing arts and Shaolin Goshin Jitsu art to us. He was a 6th degree by then, and now he's a 10th degree. We, at that time, were country bumpkins in Stockton. Professor James Morrow took us to join Jiu-Jitsu America. We had to create a curriculum. Professor Wally J. promoted Gilbert Tenio to professor status. He gave him his red belt. In 1986, both Professor James Morrow and I, Art Gonzalez, were given our signed master certificates by Tenio. My red belt was presented to me by Professor Wally J. It was at this time that John Eliop and Gilbert Tenio accepted me, Art Gonzalez, within the DeCuerdas clique. They had a Masonic rite, and I was given the task of concentrating on learning hand-to-hand combat and knife. John Eliop was given the task of learning all the weapon skills and codes. The reason was Tenio was having heart attacks. He was running out of time. I was supposed to go under John Eliop after Gilbert Tenio's death. Gilbert Tenio called me. James Morrow, Dento Revelar, and myself and others were told by Gilbert Tenio that after his death, John Eliop would be the inheritor. Eliop died in 1992. Beginning in the DeCuerdas inner clique, Gilbert Tenio continued my private training in the DeCuerdas weapon skills to finish me off up to 1994. After John Eliop's death in 1992, Tenio called another meeting. James Morrow, Dento Revelar, and myself, Art Gonzalez, were present. Tenio told us his son, Richard Tenio, would be the inheritor of his art after his death. Including on the winter of 1994 in a martial art event called Banquet of the Martial Artists given by Grandmaster Anthony Davis, there was a documented video where Gilbert Tenio announced that he was leaving his art to his son, Richard Tenio, and gave him a certificate through Grandmaster D. This was considered his last will and testament. Also, an article was written in the karate magazine called World Karate Magazine that announced that Gilbert Tenio was leaving his art to his son, Richard Tenio. At the burial of Gilbert Tenio in 1994, as we finished lowering Gilbert's body, other students and I, Art Gonzalez, gave Richard Tenio his father's belt and gi. Billy Foster was there to give Richard Tenio his stick as acceptance, and we all bowed to him. Richard Tenio was the Grandmaster for 9 years. In 2003, Richard fell ill, and the politics of martial art was too much. He called me to his house and said he wanted for me to take over the Grandmaster's position because of my knowledge, skill, loyalty, and being there for his father and him. I accepted with two conditions. One, if he or his sons ever wanted his title back, I would give it back, and that's a promise. Stockton knows this. Second, in order to protect my students, I asked my Grandmaster Richard Tenio if I could create my own system. He did. It's called DeCuerdas Diestro Fighting Systems. So in 2003, Richard Tenio gave me a signed Grandmaster certificate by him and a block of instructors. Please understand, Richard Tenio is a 40-year-plus retired correctional officer. He had the skills to survive a violent world. He is not and never was a pushover. Please understand that the great Dento Revelar is our most senior instructor of us all. He still quizzes me and he still amazes me. In Stockton, it is not important to talk. However, it is important to move crisp, fast, and with command of your scream of art. You have to do this in front of your elders, not beginners that don't know the difference. If you start moving like a chicken, it's over. The elders get up and leave. I've been a member of Jiu-Jitsu America. I have taught at Professor Wally J. School. I was president of Kilohana Martial Arts Association in the years 2012, 2013. I have my own organization called MACE, Martial Art Cultural Exchange. I plan to continue to pull all my friends of the main Stockton School, continue our talks and get-togethers in the mornings for breakfast or beer and chips at night. Stockton is growing strong. All the schools have up-and-coming new instructors. I am old and I can sit back and enjoy watching these new bloods. I am retired now and plan to share the Tenios DeCuerdas curriculum that was only for family eyes. To this day, people think that we don't have a curriculum. If they ask me if I have a curriculum, I feel insulted and I say, no, we don't. I have been training SWAT police for 10 years in Mexico, and I plan to establish a company over there. I have been traveling to Europe, and I have been received very well. I plan to establish the legacy of Tenios DeCuerdas. There's something that I want to share. Portugal and Italy told me the same thing. You are very good, but you fit in with us because you are family-oriented, and we can trust you. That's all.
There's some fascinating information there, Grandmaster Gonzalez, particularly in reference to the information regarding the introduction to of Mark Odell into the picture.
He was a gentleman.
He had several students. Of course, one of them you mentioned was Grandmaster Richard Van Dunk.
Yes.
Were you and he both students of Grandmaster Tenio's at the same time at that point?
Yes, I was an instructor there.
I see.
So there was Gilbert Tenio, John Eliop, and I was under John Eliop. Because remember that we came already in a group of 10.
Sure.
So as I came there, I was an instructor. You know, we still have senior students, Howard Miller and others that can attest to this.
And so how did the organization, from that point forward, you had mentioned that obviously Richard Tenio was presented with certification at the Banquet of the Masters and by Grandmaster D at that time, and at the request of Grandmaster Gilbert Tenio. And for that time frame, you had mentioned that that Richard Tenio had maintained that level for a certain period of time, or did he immediately relinquish that as a result of not wanting to have any more violence in his life as a result of his many years in the correctional system? Like I said, I belong to a family.
Right. I belong, and our elders is Dentro Revelar, James Morrow, and myself.
Sure.
Anytime anything ever happened, there was always a meeting. After '92, when John Eliop passed away, Gilbert Tenio called a meeting and said that his son was going to take over. Mm-hmm. He ran it for 9 years. You know, after 9 years, he fell ill. When he fell ill, he came to me and said, "You know, take over because I'm the longest student at that time."
Right.
James Morrow was also in contention, and remember, I had to tread on water because our eldest guy is Dentro Revelar.
Right. No. I understand. Hero. I understand.
So for 9 years, Richard Tenio did run the organization, and he was always active.
Really, you know, that's and I know that you've stated that a couple of times, and that's interesting. From some perspective or from some understanding, I guess I was confused because I had thought that Richard Tenio had relinquished that a lot sooner than 9 years. So it was 9 years he maintained that position then.
Yes, you see, in 1992, Tenio had meeting.
Right.
And told the elders, then to Revelar, James Morrow, myself, and the other guys,
Sure,
that Richard Tenio was taking over. So
right.
it was 92 that we all knew.
I understand.
See?
I see.
You understand?
Right.
And then from there in 94, it was recorded by Grandmaster D.
Right. Right.
So from at that time, they went all the way to 2003.
Right.
That's when he fell ill. Started having personal problems, and he is allowed to. And please understand, at any one time, he can come back and say, Art, I need my title back, my son wants to go, or I want to redo this.
Right,
and,
right.
And it is my promise, and I tell you and I tell the world, I will relinquish the title to him, because I'm just holding it.
Right.
That is all I'm doing.
No, I understand. I was just a little bit confused because, as I said, and again, it was my misunderstanding, I guess. But I had thought that Richard Tenio perhaps had relinquished that title sooner, or perhaps had assigned that in a different way. And like I said, that's my fault. It's my misunderstanding. So I just apologize for that in advance. But I wanted to be clear and kind of make sure that was what now that was the understanding at that time. So, but so is
the reason why is because we never had like a school per se.
Right.
Filipino martial artists, they would have in the garages,
right,
or at your grass. You kill the grass, your wife gets mad, kicks you out, so you go to somebody else's house, and then you're moving around. You're going to a gym. They invite you to teach in the gym. They see you with weapons, and then they kick you out. And because of liability stuff. So then we started going to rough. He would go to Rough and Ready Island, and because his father was military there, we go over to my ranch. There was always a training at my campo and then my other ranch.
Right.
So he was always active,
Right.
So.
Right.
So
do you say so? Is Richard? How's Richard feeling now? Richard Tenio, is he doing better?
He's a private man, and like I say, he's ill.
Yeah.
He's heavy. Me and him are friends. That's all I can say.
Right.
You protect your friends. You protect family. See, he's family. I'm considered family.
Right.
My greatest accomplishment in Stockton is that I'm considered family. In Stockton. And then you say, yeah, the three schools, are together, and Vincent Cabales, accepts me, and all his students. Ron Saturnos, Carlitos. There's a joke that one time we were drinking, and we're a bunch of Filipinos, and one of the Filipinos goes, "Hey, Art, but you're not Filipino." And everybody got real quiet, and Carlitos says, yes, he's Filipino. The guy just gave him his green card. And everybody started laughing, and then it was just clear sailing after that,
Right. Now, as far as a perspective, you had gone back through the history and so forth of DeCuerdas. Where, if you could tell me where it actually originated. I mean, was that a family art for Gilbert Tenio that he brought from the Philippines, or how was that? How was that generated?
Let me tell you the truth. I'm not lying. At that particular time when I was young, I always geared for fighting. I always wanted to fight. And I'll tell you a little story. That's all I wanted. That's all. The history I was never concerned about. I just wanted to fight.
Yeah.
Okay. And I would get that.
Sure.
Okay. There was one time when Tenio says, "Hey, Art, now it's time for you to start learning massage." And I said, "No, I don't want to learn massage.
Right.
It's like sissy stuff.
Right.
I want to fight.
Right.
And then all of a sudden he tells me 3 times, and I'm a student disobeying his instructor. I don't want to learn massage. And all of a sudden he gets up and he goes, "Okay, Art, let's play." And so I start sparring with him, and all of a sudden he tapped me 3 times, and my right arm just fell asleep. And then I continued, then he stopped, and that's it. So then after that, I went to work, and I worked with Ron Saturno for 16 years in the same company. And I was with him and they used to call HFCS, and I couldn't help them. Everything was falling from my arm. Everything that I had in my hand, I would drop it, and I was scared. My arms started getting shorter, and then I go, Ron, take me back to Tenio. He's still at the Kin's donut shop. And Ron says, no, we can't leave, man, they'll fire us. He goes, Ron, man, I can't move my arm. I was scared. And then Ron says, get in the car. So I got in the car, boom, he drove me to the donut shop. Tenio was having a lemon meringue pie, and I looked at him and I said, sir, take it off. And then he goes, do you understand? And I said, yes, sir, but take it off. No, do you understand? Yes, sir. I'll start learning massage.
Right.
And then he gets up and he does some stuff, bam, 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 and it took him about a minute, and then I started getting feeling back in my hands.
Wow.
So you see, that's what I wanted, you know. I do know that it comes from a family system from the island of Bahul. He's from the island of Bahul, from the Visayan Islands. Okay. You know, history. Contact James Morrow. He is like he knows everything. You know, that is if you would find a fault, that's my fault in history. That I really don't. If you say, do you know your art? I can prove it in a matter of seconds.
Sure. And so, with the with that in mind, did Grandmaster Tenio, did he ever express where he thought the system should go? Did he ever give anyone any idea as to how he felt the system should progress and what his ultimate goals were for the system?
Could you explain that again?
Sure, not a problem. With Grandmaster Gilbert Tenio, did he ever express where he personally felt that his ideal of how his system would progress and how it would propagate? In other words, how he felt everyone would teach, and did he have a general idea as to what he wanted to do with the system as a whole in the future? Not necessarily, and I want to be clear. I'm not talking. I don't want to get into the lineage thing right away. But as far as the progression of the system itself and how he wanted it to grow, and did he express those ideas that you were aware of?
Yes, like I said in the beginning, we were taught the Cerrada art.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, not the DeCuerdas art. Okay.
Right.
And as for John Eliop and as per Dentro Revel art, you see, DeCuerdas was a family art, and you had to be within the clique for you to actually see the family art. And if you were within the clique, that means you had a little ritual going on, and you were accepted within the clique.
Right.
As time progressed, he was drilling me in the hand combat arts. Okay. And the knife, and then he went into the weapons. And his concern was, for example, how can I teach this rapidly?
Right.
Okay. Example, he gave me a job to do, and he said, Art, I need you to create a curriculum, and in a year's time, you're going to be assigned 70 soldiers.
Right.
And at that time, those soldiers are going to go to war, and if they die, it's your fault.
Sure.
So I said, oh, my gosh. Okay, fine. Then I did a curriculum. It took a long time. I did a curriculum, and I was very happy. And I put my best stuff in there. And I went, and it's big, and I popped it down. And he goes, sir, very happy. And I said, here it is. And he just looked up to me and goes, oh, you weren't told? The war is closer. Now you only have 3 months. So you have to go tear that curriculum down and make a curriculum for 3 months. And at that time, they're going to go to war, and if they die, it's on your shoulders and your conscience. What? So I got mad, and then from there I went and then destroyed. Can you imagine putting your best stuff, and then you got to throw all your best jewels out of there?
Right.
So then I had to pick all my stuff and all of a sudden create another curriculum for 3 months. To make the story short, he kept repeating from 3 months to 1 month, from 1 month to 2 weeks, from 2 weeks to 1 week, you know? And then for 3 days. What can you possibly do to teach people stuff that can save them in wartime. And if you didn't teach them right, it was going to be your stuff.
Right.
So then I was all confused. And then I started being introduced to what he used to call concepts and principles, how to rapidly teach a mass amount of people. And not only that, to teach them in true time.
I see.
The reality of the arts. So he had an idea. He directed me. The other guy that was a great influence in me, if you ever see me, James Morrow. James Morrow was always a great influence. He kept making fun of me. Yeah, you can teach one guy, but you can't teach 50.
Right.
You know. And then he's the one that taught me that when you're teaching a seminar, to take yourself outside the window, and as soon as you teach a technique, everybody's moving, right?
Of course.
Then step outside the window and then look in. Look how many people are standing up and talking to each other. When you have people moving rapidly, and everybody is engaged, your teaching abilities is becoming better and better.
Right.
When you're not that good, you can't convey your material. The people will just look at you, and they'll be standing. They'll be talking to each other. So these are the contributions. I developed a system called teaching en escala just because of this, because of Tenio's influence and James' influence.
Very interesting. And so your particular system is an incorporation of Tenio DeCuerdas, or it is you teach two separate systems?
What it is, it's basically the same thing, but then you have a problem. If I straight out teach DeCuerdas, I will have Diestro Revelar mad at me. Do you understand? Mm-hmm. How is it that you can teach a true good art and still teach it good? So right. I have ways to teach it. For example, let me tell you. There are 6 subsystems in our art. There are 2. One is weapon, one is hand. The subsystems is to strike. They are called key words. To strike means we strike with 12 parts of our body. The 5 main ones would be fist, elbow, head, knee, and foot. We direct them to 3 things: muscle, joints, vital organs. We cannot touch one without affecting another. A red flag should come up and say, oh, man, these guys know the black hand.
Right.
And why is this? Because DeCuerdas is a mother art, because we have a healing art. Thus, you know how to attack the blood, how to attack the nervous system, and etc. The next one would be locking. We lock 10 parts of the human anatomy. There are more joints, but there's suture joints, so then they're removable, so then that's why we attack them. We always attack from weakest to strongest to weakest. We're always using the geometric patterns that were given to us, So Tenio was a great contribution in Jiu-Jitsu America, because everybody, when he was doing a wrist lock, Tenio was doing 4, 5, 6 wrist locks in just inspiring motion. So they adopted that over there, the flow, And that's going from one lock to another, to another, to another, to another.
Right. Very interesting. Very interesting. And so, where do you feel that the system of Tenio DeCuerdas, as well as your particular system, where do you feel that they're headed, and what's your idea of how to progress that?
Oh. I think DeCuerdas is very competitive. Any place it goes through personal experience, people just love it. Because once I'm in motion, that talks for myself. But I have acquired to teach the skills of Tenio in a systematic manner, and I have brung this stuff together. With conversations with Diestro Revelar and James Heliop. With James Morrow. Uh-huh. It was a combined effort. James Morrow teaches the same thing I do, Diestro Revelar, he keeps core stuff that I cannot teach, because that is super family. I would be excommunicated.
Sure, I understand. And we can't have that. We can't have that. That's very interesting.
By the way, I didn't finish the 6 key words, but that's okay. You get the gist of it. The 6 key words, and then there's minor key words, and you got your rhythms and beats, and and it just goes on and goes on. And I can prove that we have a curriculum, and it's huge.
So was that curriculum passed on to everyone?
Oh no. Like I tell you, man, there's some people still go, hey, does DeCuerdas have curriculum? And it insults me. How can I survive all these years without curriculum? What am I teaching?
Right.
So I look at them and go, why no? It doesn't have a curriculum. But you just heard me.
Indeed. So you had mentioned the 6 keywords. You had mentioned up to walking. What are the others?
Yeah, it's your basic martial arts. It's your throwing, your sweeping, your grabbing. When you grab, you're actually grabbing the muscles, ligaments, tendons, and you're using the minor keywords to twist, pull, jerk. And then grabbing is a subsystem of what you call your trapping arts. Because now you're doing cruzada, entanglements, and you're crossing the people, right? The people's arms or legs.
Right.
So from then you go to the choking arts. So then you have your striking, your locking, your choking, your throwing, your sweeping, and so it goes to 6. And then from there you just start describing your minor keywords. And once you do that, for example, if you throw me a punch, right? You decided to throw it to you to attack me with your strike. That's part of our system, right?
Right.
Okay, so you decided to throw a right punch or right cross at me. Okay, how am I going to defend? Gee, I don't know. Well, let's look at our 6 keywords. Okay, I'll pick strike. What I want to strike you with. I got 12 parts of my body. Okay, I know. I'll answer with the same thing. I'll punch him back with my right punch. And what am I going to do? I'm going to attack you where? I'm either going to attack you with your muscle, joints, or your vital organs. But wait a minute. I'm not even moving. How can I move? I have to acquire the rhythms and beats. How can I answer your attack? I can answer your attack with a 0, 1, 2, 3 beats. And then there's more. But do you understand?
I do.
In other words, what is the quickest, fastest thing that when we always tell our students? By the way, a lot of people think DeCuerdas is a vertical block. It's not. It's not based on the vertical block. It's kind of dumb. But anyways, you attack me and you catch me in a state of duress. The first thing I'm doing is to evade. I'll evade and punch you, which is one of the quickest responses. Because when you're under duress, what happens to your vision? Yeah, you can't see things. And then super fast moving, what's it do to your brain? It confuses you, right?
Of course.
Right? You can't move. You're trying to go. You go right immediately. You gross motor skills. So one of the things we do is we teach. We have a saying. Our saying says, we evade before we parry before we pass, and we block. The very last only when you're caught flat-footed. See what I'm saying? So in other words, what I'm trying to say, you attack me, I evade and hit you. You attack me with my one hand, I parry and hit you. In a 2 beat, you attack me, and my left hand parries as my other one simultaneously is hitting you. On the 3rd beat, you're attacking me, I will do the minor keywords, which is to parry, grab, and strike. Sure. I'm already in my trapping range.
Right.
And I'm ready to apply the other 6 keywords. I'm having fun.
Yeah, I can tell.
And the reason I'm saying this because now, I have permission with Dentoy. I'm starting to record. And what we have never taught is our concepts and principles. I'll just show you a technique. Big deal. What substance does it do?
Right.
In DeCuerdas, if you're an instructor, you have to do 3 things. You have to write it on the wall, okay? You have to talk about it, explain it, and then you have to show it. Those are the keys of an instructor. And then you have to go down the principles and explain the principles. And this is exactly what I'm starting to do now. Is it that we never had them start? No, we always had them. We just never chose to give it out. Now it's happening. I just finished four videos, you know, and I'm starting to give those out. Why am I doing this? Because I'm traveling now to Europe.
Sure.
And now I'm trying to establish my system.
Sure.
So I'm going to be competitive, and my DeCuerdas is going to come out.
How do you feel? How do you feel your DeCuerdas is different than perhaps someone else's?
I don't know about anybody else, but DeCuerdas means rhythms and beats. Are we touching my ear? Because we fight by rhythms and beats. DeCuerdas, we need to, for example, if you bring your son to me, you know, so to teach, the first thing that I'm going to be teaching him is numerado. What's that mean?
Okay.
He is going to be already going into sparring because I need him to elevate to sparring range where he can experience. What does that mean? Mostly when you strike a strike number one, they throw a strike number one and it halts.
Right.
Because now we're actually trying to hit you. It's coming in a rapid pace. Now, all of a sudden, you don't have complacency. You're alerted to a higher state. You know what I'm saying? And you're moving at that state. When you're moving rapidly, all your techniques, 1,000 techniques, you cannot do because you're under duress. You're in survival mode. You're in gross motor state. And that's where we start doing all our stuff. From numerado, we're going to go to coronado, and then something called beautiful. It's called cienfuegos. You know, that's 100 fires at the same time. We will put our opponent in duress.
So in Tenio DeCuerdas, I do understand what you're saying. So there are many systems that refer to DeCuerdas. There is the DeCuerdas says Dizon, Felicimo Dizon taught. Mm-hmm. There is the DeCuerdas as the Anayan Brotherhood teaches DeCuerdas. There is Tenio DeCuerdas and Dynamic DeCuerdas. Are they all related in some way, do you think?
Listen, I want to be truthful and an honest man.
Sure.
I don't know Dizon's. I don't know Dizon's methods. I wasn't there.
Right.
I do not know the Anayan method.
Right.
You know, I know my system.
Sure.
Do you understand? That's what I do know,
I do.
And I do it very well. If I were to talk differently, Stockton would start hating me because now I'm a braggart. You know, I'm supposed to show by motion.
Sure. No, and I'm not trying to make any confusion. It's just to our Serrata brothers, of course, as I am. You know, we've always heard of Felicimo Dizon teaching DeCuerdas to Grandmaster Angel, of course. So
yeah, there is 18 systems. There is 18 systems in the DeCuerdas, and please understand. When Mark Wiley brought up that book, we were the DeCuerdas guys. When he brought up that book and he mentioned DeCuerdas, I'm the one that coined the term Tenio DeCuerdas. I wanted to make it definite that, hey, man, you know, Angel is great, but this is a line. We're just doing Tenio DeCuerdas. Do you understand?
Sure.
And in order for you, in order for you to know I'm a DeCuerdas man, we follow the Masons' lineage. So we talk in codes, and there's certain salutes, and that make you know that you're a DeCuerdas man, okay?
I see.
And another thing, you follow a pattern, okay? Here you are. You're going to do a vertical block in DeCuerdas. So here I am. I got a problem that you're going to fight me, right? I have to wait until you hit me.
That doesn't make sense, does it?
Yeah, and then another thing. All of a sudden, you come to me, hey, Art, you don't know nothing about screaming. Hey, Art, man, this guy, he's a 25-year-old veteran, man, you know, and this guy's so awesome. He beats everybody up, and he just challenged me. I only got 1 week, and then he's going to come down, he's going to beat me up. Teach me something. What am I going to teach you? How to block?
Right.
No. You're going to go right into the wolf's mouth. Do you understand?
Right.
You're going to punk a master screamador?
Right.
He can pick, rip you apart, hit you 40 times. So what's your first thing you're going to do? You're going to teach him to evade. Every time he hits you, move.
Right.
Stick and move. Stick and move. Stay away from his range, but be close enough to hit him.
Right.
When he moves, don't move. If it comes close to you, then go for it. Then you have just what? You have just revealed the pick.
Right.
You have just, can you see? You're giving a beginner student skills to fight. That is what DeCuerdas. DeCuerdas was fighting skill to fight. You know what I'm saying?
I do.
Once I start teaching the numerado way how to fight, right? Then I start teaching you about the three gentlemen or three shields, positioning. Because if you strike at me and I try to cut you, my stick went in one certain motion, but the pick now is coming some other ways. I would automatically say, if I try to hit you with a 1 and it went down to 11 position,
yes,
right, it'll be at the ready. If you try to hit me with a 2, I will rip it because I'm already systematically waiting, calculating that once you hit me on this particular side, you won't have to hit me with this hit or this hit. So I'm already prepared. And if you don't move, I'll hit you anyways. You understand? Once that happens, once I teach you, now I acclimated your eyes to speed. Once your eyes are acclimated to speed, then we start bringing you in closer to the fight. You're striking, and I am parrying and hitting you. You understand?
I do.
And if it's coming lower, all it means is just passing and hitting you, right?
Right.
But because now we're engaged in fighting. If you strike at me, bam, I hit you. You're answering back, right? If my feet cannot carry me out of danger, I am flat-footed now. I can't do shit. I have to block because that's my only thing. And as soon as you block, as soon as you pass, boom, I'm hitting you, and I have to move out of the way, or else I gotta hit. I'm gonna get hit again.
Right.
It's the rhythm of the fight. Now you're describing the cuerda. You understand?
I do understand. I do.
Please don't think that I'm a brute or vicious. I just love my art.
No, of course not. Of course not. Absolutely not. Well, sir, I did want to. You said that you had begun filming. Do you have a release date when the DVDs will be available to the public?
Within a week's time. I also have one DVD I did a long time ago. It was about 11, 12 years ago I did it. It was to just see what I can do, and it was knife to knife. It was earth to earth, and I have it's a whole video in itself, and it actually was meant to do a overseas instructional video, and because it's a whole package within itself. But what I like about it, when I'm teaching earth to earth, I'm teaching the core movement of the body. So if you lose that weapon, you still continue using the same motions.
Sure.
But you're effectively striking. I really don't like patty pat.
Of course.
You are defending yourself. You got to take that person down quickly.
Right.
So I believe in true time. I believe in the reality of fighting. That's why I have created something that's called Bad Boy. Bad Boy is the prison yard rush. When prisoners they learn how to hit their assassinations. If you ever hopefully never, but if you're ever attacked by a knife, it's called an assassination. So you have to know how to deal with this kind of assassination. You have to know how to train under duress. How to defend against these guys, these bad boys. If you don't know how to defend against these bad boys, whatever you train, you're going to be in trouble.
Right.
Doesn't matter if you've been 20 years training. You meet a bad boy from the street, you're very vulnerable. So I have a whole system that just deals with this particular type of attack.
Interesting. Very interesting. And is that part of your curriculum that you'll release, or is that just going to be held?
No. This is very valuable because this saves lives. I teach it to the military. I teach it to the police. I'm teaching it to civilians, and I'm also taking it to Europe.
I see.
They love it over there. Once they saw this, they go, "Holy moly!" Once I attack them, how a prisoner attacks you, it's totally different.
Right.
Because you see, first of all, the criminal doesn't tell you when he's gonna hit you.
Right.
Okay? He just rushes you. Before you know it, he's upon you.
Sure.
It's a very simple attack. The left hand is always going in and out, and the knife is going like a sewing machine.
Right.
You know, they'll either slap you, disorient you, be pulling you, hitting you, and you're going to be hit all over the place. You know what I'm saying? It's
I do.
a different type of animal. And if you never experience how to defend against this guy, you're basically dead. You know, the only God can save you.
And where will you release the videos? I mean, will this be released on? Will this be produced and released commercially, or is this something you're going to do?
Yes. I'm going to be putting it on my website. You know,
okay.
I just retired. By the way, I just retired last year, so this is what I've been doing. I've traveled to Mexico, traveled 8 states. I've been training in a rough state, Culiacan, Sinaloa. Big mafia state. I'm teaching the police over there.
I see.
And SWAT. And please understand, Gilbert Tenio was military. Some of my guys that don't know, it's you're teaching over there police and SWAT in Mexico. Yeah. What kind of stick are you using? No, their weapons are M16.
Right.
This is the weapons that they use.
Right.
You see, yeah. So I'm having a lot of fun teaching, you know, and from there I plan to visit you guys, you know, plan to go over the United States and Europe. They already invited me to Portugal to go stay for a whole month.
Excellent. Excellent.
Yes.
So if so you have a website. If someone wants to get a hold of you for instruction and for purchase of your DVDs in the future, how would they do that?
Well, they can look at my website or contact me through Facebook. My name is there, Art Gonzalez, and there's also another one in Facebook called Diestro, DeCuerdas Diestro, Facebook. There's another one called Mace, and all of those will tell you and announce where I'm going to be teaching. And
what's the web address for your website, Art?
It's called DeCuerdas.org.
Okay.
So, you know, just look me up there or contact me on Facebook. Excellent. I'll be available because this is my plan is to teach. Like I said, you know, I am very proud that I established myself in Stockton. That's my greatest accomplishment. But it's not about me. It's about up-and-coming instructors.
Right.
The Bahalana guys, the multi-style guys, the Michael Hume guys, they all have excellent instructors. Vincent Cavales is coming up with great instructors, you know.
Right.
Even the students are branching out. Juan Saturno, Carlitos. Vincent is now he's like an uncle to everybody. That he lives and lets live. He lets people teach their own little systems, and then later on in the night they all get together now. So there's a fallacy that there's a great fight in Stockton. You know.
I know. I've heard about it somehow.
I'm with him. You know, I drink beers with him. You know, I go to restaurants with him. We're always together, and it's usually one individual that's not happy is always causing problems, and that's why Stockton is divided. There's only one guy. 98% of Stockton is together. You know, if you guys ever come to my race events, you'll see everybody there. Sure. You know, and with smiling faces.
Well, I do look forward to attending a Mace event sometime here in the near future. But I'd like to thank you for your time, Grandmaster Gonzalez. It's been a pleasure speaking to you, and I hope that your future remains bright, and of course, always a friend of the World Serrano Eskrima Federation as well.
And before I go, please understand that video that Grandmaster D put out. And what Tenio's saying that he's leaving the Grandmaster title to his son Richard Tenio. He also gave him a certificate. We're considering that the last will and testament of Gilbert Tenio, and that's how we're standing about. And other people are saying stuff. Well, you know, they have to come to Stockton and prove it. You know.
It was a pleasure speaking with you, and I thank you for your time, sir.
Thank you for the opportunity.
Not a problem.